Great. So welcome everybody to this LinkedIn Live discussion, during which we are hoping to decode the secret sauce to what makes a star entrepreneur. I'm Aparna, principal consultant with Unfold, and your moderator for today. I thought we'd just give you a little bit of an introduction to Unfold before we start. We are a boutique consulting firm focused on helping organizations across sectors build winning cultures. Since 2017, which is the last 6 years, Unfold has been leading the entrepreneurship dialogue and championing it as a key to transformation. Through our annual flagship Entrepreneurship Conclave event and the pioneering Pan-Sector Vanguard Awards, we have and continue to strive to bring this topic to the forefront of conversation among leaders and practitioners. So to all of you listening, please do log in to our website, entrepreneurshipknowledgehub.live for more details. We'll share this link again towards the end, but just parking it here. So today we're here with this group of 3 accomplished panelists to peel back yet another layer of this topic. All 3 of them have had successful journeys as entrepreneurs. And, while they've all had different paths, and we'll, get to know them a little better as we go along, the common thread that binds them all is that they're all past winners of our Vanguard Awards. So they are, here as live examples of individuals who participated in our awards process and, been recognized as winners. So over the next, 45 minutes to an hour, they're going to help us identify what are the various ingredients that go into the secret sauce. Okay. So let me first introduce them. We have with us Radhika. Radhika Kaniganti is an environmental engineer by education with 2 decades of experience in environment, sustainability, and solving on-the-ground environmental issues, working for organizations in India and the US, such as TERI, Argyem, and the US EPA, the Environment Protection Agency. So she has extensive experience, as you can see, in the subject of the environment and sustainability. She's worked in urban water and waste management models, air quality, environmental education, and she currently leads the business sustainability and ESG disclosures team at Wipro Limited. She drives sustainability initiatives within Wipro as well. She's passionate about innovations and sustainability and has helped create go-to-market innovations for that are emerging from research institutes. She's a TEDx speaker, a certified CrossFit trainer, and enjoys high-altitude trekking. So Radhika, welcome. Glad to have you join us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Aparna. Thank you.
All right. We also have with us Ravindra Shet, heads the Smart Things team at SRIB. Ravindra's team is successfully deploying Samsung IoT platform Smart Things across the globe with large-scale end-to-end cloud development to support millions of Samsung devices and partner devices, along with the mobile-based Smart Things app for phones and other consumer electronic devices. Ravindra has been instrumental in developing technologies that enable devices to talk to each other and has contributed to the technologies behind several other Samsung devices, such as the Samsung Gear Watch with phone, etc. Ravindra has done his master's from IIT Delhi in computer technology and his bachelor's in electronics and telecommunications from GEC Goa. He holds 6 patents and has published 4 papers. So Ravindra, really happy to have you on board. Looking forward to an exciting conversation with you today.
Yeah, thank you for the
Our third panelist
introduction.
Is Piyush. Piyush Bhamare is an accomplished sales and business development strategist known for driving company growth through effective planning and development strategies. With extensive leadership experience, he has played instrumental roles in scaling multiple startups to the next level. Currently, he's associated with Celoxys Technologies as VP Sales. Celoxys is a leading SaaS project portfolio management provider. Piyush is also a recognized LinkedIn top voice. So welcome to you again, Piyush. Glad to have you on board with us.
Thank you, Aparna, for this
All right.
introduction.
Let's jump in, okay? Let's dive in directly. So I'm just going to start off with a perhaps a common question to all three of you, given our topic for today, which is on the secret sauce behind a star entrepreneur. So my question to all of you is, what makes you a star entrepreneur? So if you could walk us through your personal journeys to help us understand how you reached place you are in now as an entrepreneur, and give us these insights to what your learnings have been. I'm sure that will be interesting for all our listeners and for myself as well. Ravindra, shall we start with you?
Great. Yeah, thank you. So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Can you hear
Ravindra?
me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and glad to be here to share my experiences. So in Samsung, I mean, my intrapreneurship journey started literally over lunch with one of our senior engineering managers when we were visiting a vendor, to evaluate some of the components. And that's when I realized that the teams here in India uh, have the capabilities and have the ability to not only understand all those specs and standards, but also ability to develop it from scratch, to do it from point zero. So that's how I started. And but of course, this is related to the IMS stack, and those were that was in 2000, 2002 3 time frame, when people were just still talking in terms of 2G and 2.5G, etc. And that's when we saw this potential where a lot of network bandwidth, or what you call the bandwidth frequency bands, were not fully utilized. And we saw there was this emerging technologies in IMS happening in the standards. And we said that we should bet here. We are a mobile company, and let's take a lead there. So that's when we saw that there is an opportunity to invest early in a technology and make a difference, right, from the India Center. So the journey was not that straightforward. When we started in 2002 or 3, around that time frame, India centers were not looked at as innovation centers. They were looked more for strategic reasons. So that's when I had to really create a path for myself, right? Find the right sponsors. Uh, Even though the initial budget required for the initial phase of any project is very small, but you need to figure out a way, to find the right sponsors, and it takes some time. And it took me some time, maybe 2 to 3 years. In the meanwhile, I had to find funding, below the radar funding, as well as some of the other internal stakeholders I had to convince to get funding to maintain that development for 2 to 3 years. And of course, as soon as it got released in 3GPP, and there was like a flood of investment in this area, which resulted in us, having to expand extensively, and resulting, and of course there was a lot of other challenges we had to face in terms of having to serve multiple platforms like CDMA, etc. In those days. Of course, that's another topic for how to handle when you are acquired, when your work is acquired at scale. So that's when my journey started. And of course, I have been grateful to have great teams who have supported me along the way. And there have been many other attempts also which did not succeed, but the key ingredient for me has been keep trying, finding the right team, finding the right sponsors, and then of course having that grit during the scaling time? I mean, in the time till you get the right sponsor. Yeah, Pooja. Yeah, that's been my journey. So
Yes. Aparna, you on mute? Yeah.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Keep getting.
Aparna, I think you're on mute. Gone on mute.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening, but it keeps muting me on its own. So I hope this stays. Yeah. So well, great. I mean, Ravindra, that was truly inspiring, and I think a few takeaways for all of us, especially when you talked about that identifying the opportunity. Yes, that's the important aspect, really the crucial starting point. But then you mentioned grit of staying the course. While identifying a sponsor, staying, and you've mentioned that it almost took you 2 to 3 years, which shows tremendous amount of grit, right? And that willpower to stick on to something without knowing whether you're going to reach that end point or not. So thank you for sharing your journey. um uh, Radhika, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was actually really inspiring, Ravindra, to hear your journey. My journey is a little bit different. I think, you know, entrepreneurship is sort of a relatively new word, and you kind of reflect on what does it mean. And, really, when Aparna told me that this is what we're going to talk about, I said, what does it actually mean? But if I look back on my journey, I think there's just one mantra, right, to get the job done. And for example, there will be thousands of ways on how the work cannot be completed, and all of them may sound reasonable, but there's only one way to get it done, really, if you're interested. So in my mind, entrepreneurship is, of course, about new product and all that, but also new solutions and new ways of doing things, right? Different ways of doing things to get to the same goal. And that's kind of what I have followed in the organizations that I have been in. For example, whether I was at EPA or whether I was in the startup, and there was just one thing. I mean, you know what your end goal is, and you want to really make an impact. And I think that's what my journey has been in terms of whatever workplace I was in. My aim was to make an impact. And how do you make that impact? What is the route that you take to get there? I can give you an example of how I joined my startup, for example. So what really intrigued me about Devikat, where I was previously, was just the different solution that they had for controlling air pollution, and that what started as an intrigue really became a passion in terms of trying to make that product and just scaling the product and getting the funding. And so mine is more it's, I guess, a combination of more of an entrepreneurship, in the sense of what does it take to get the product out and get it scaled, right? So I think that so that is where how my journey has been, because and I have been also associated with a lot of startups. I'm in a startup community, and there's a lot of learnings that I take away from there as well, on what does it take to first come up with a new idea, and to want to actually make it a product, to actually want to scale it. And what is so these have been fascinating for me individually, and these are some of the points that I have followed In my journey, both in the large organizations that have been part of and I'm currently part of, but also in the startups, right? In terms of looking at something differently, trying to make that work, and trying to scale it, trying to scale that idea. So, and I can elaborate on it a little bit more as we go along. But really, my journey has been all about trying to look at something differently, and implementing different solutions.
Okay. Radhika, that's fascinating to hear, and I think your passion, comes through as well. You spoke about wanting to make an impact in every organization that you've been a part of, and I think that's sort of the key. Sort of, if I were to look at your thread of your journey, you've always been driven perhaps by that thought, and then to do what needs to be done, right? Getting the job done, as you mentioned. So, to do what it takes, and to push, therefore, to push the boundaries. So that's very interesting to hear. And yes, we would love to hear more about your journey, and we will as we go forward. Um, Piyush, over to you. You could walk us through your journey and your secret sauce as a star entrepreneur.
Thank you, Aparna. And it was great hearing from Ravindra and Radhika about their stories around the entrepreneurship. For me, it has always been a mindset. So, my mindset has evolved from taking initiatives to right now, I would say, making some innovations. So I still remember clearly my first job post my MBA, and I was working with one of the largest software company, and my job was there as in global business development. And during my daily work, it's been just 3 4 months, and I was understanding the whole process and to have a customer presentation. They always had to do a lot of search or for the kind of case studies that require to be part of that presentation. And it was always an hassle because these guys were on site and we were supporting them from here in India. So we had almost 800 different project managers, thousands of teams working under them. To collect that data and present was very, very tough choice. Though it was not my so and so JD, I just took it an initiative. I just approached my senior. I say, why don't we have a repository of having all these collaterals ready at one particular folder so that it becomes easy to for everybody to access it. And that's where my journey started. And that particular initiative made 20 days of work just few hours. And then that just gave me something big kick in my mind. Okay, wow, this is something, it wasn't clear acknowledgement that when you take an initiative, what difference it can make. And that's how my journey started. So first it was all about taking initiative, then obviously as and when my role got more experience, so I started asking questions where more I can contribute. So whether it is adding business streams where you can add hit directly to the top line, or in my next venture with Smink, it was more about adding to the product side. Because though I was running my sales show, uh, I again asked the same question: how can I contribute here? And that's where I could see the answer that whatever I am understanding on field, I can be a bridge between the product and the sales. And that's where I started collaborating every day uh, with the product manager in terms of what we are understanding, what we are seeing on field, and what is lacking in the product. And that's where I could get a glimpse of how the product management works, how that engineering function works. And there sort of I was doing the dual role, So as a sales head also, and as a product head also, and that gave me a lot of edge in terms of uh, gaining and confidence from across all the teams. And I think that gave me a lot of push up in terms of becoming a CEO of that company later on. So I would say it was just an clear and clear the mindset, taking an initiative to right now, whether you call it as an innovation or uh, value creation, to be very specific, because I'm growing now. So I'm also understanding that first thing is taking an initiative. So most of the times when I, work on a team level, I see that most of the most of the people ask the question what I can get, but instead we should always ask what I can add. If that is something we have the mindset, then definitely there is a lot uh, thing you can do as an entrepreneur within the boundaries of the company.
Yeah, Piyush, that was very interesting. You brought out some, really, thought-provoking threads, right? You spoke about it being a mindset, really about, how you approach your work, not looking at it as necessarily part of your role, right? Being very narrowly focused on your job description and what is it that you're specifically being hired to do, but looking beyond, identifying needs, seeing where you can add value, and that being a driver for you right from the start of your career, and which you sort of maintained as you've gone along and deepened and expanded as your role has expanded as well. The other interesting bit that you brought up was the collaboration, right? The fact that you're looking at ways to collaborate beyond your, we talk, all have heard about corporate silos and the fact that people are tend to get restricted to the specific areas that they are part of, but where you're looking at opportunity and where you can look holistically, and that's where I guess are the points of inflection where you can add value. So great, thank you for that. I did notice that somebody, one of the listeners, raised their hand to speak, and we would like to encourage, questions from the audience. So, if I could request Asha or Pooja to unmute whoever has raised their hand, and that goes for everybody who's listening. Please do raise your hand if you have a question for any one of our panelists, or a common question for all of them. We'll have you join in to speak and ask your question. So, is there anything right now, or I'll move ahead? I did notice that somebody had raised their hand. Okay, well, please do keep those questions. Your coming, and we'll unmute you, give you the opportunity to speak. Let's move on now, because we have these three panelists here, and as you heard, very interesting, very different journeys, and but all of them come with that passion for wanting to do something different, wanting to make an impact, wanting to solve problems. So it's that problem solving mindset which comes across so clearly from all three of them. Now, let me ask, Radhika, as you walked us through your journey, your passion for the area of sustainability clearly comes through. That's where you've built your expertise. And the question I had for you is, you're talking about expertise in any area, right? You've built it in the area of sustainability, but how important is being an expert, and in the sense of having some command over your area of work, in order to problem solve effectively, which is essentially what entrepreneurs are seeking to do, right, in organizations. So how important is expertise? That's the question
Yeah,
for you.
thanks, Purna, for the question. So you're right. I mean, when I got into when I did my engineering, environmental engineering was really unheard of in those days. There's just one university that was offering it, and I don't know what got me interested in it, but the I think it was more of wanting to change the world or wanting to have an impact, and things like that. So that's how I kind of got into this field of sustainability. The more I got in, the more fascinating it became to me, the more relevant it was to me, because as I said, I wanted to make an impact. And the more you sort of delve into the problems that are out there, the greater the opportunity to make it better, right? And so that kind of was what was the driving force for me. And in terms of your question of how important is expertise, if we want to sort of become an entrepreneur, to me, I think the most important part of becoming an expert in anything is really the passion, right? And if I think if you are passionate enough about anything, about any topic, I mean, you tend to sort of go into it deeper, and you delve into it, and that just makes you an expert, right? And then and once you start looking at it from the angle of, okay, so these are the problems, this is where I want to make an impact, this is where I want to make a change, the solutions come out clearly to you, right? And this is so I would say the cornerstone of this is just having that passion, right? And that interest to sort of follow a certain path, or even if it's a small topic. I mean, you're passionate about chemistry. I mean, I think that's what drives learning, and that's what drives that expertise. And I think that's just the basic, I mean, the foundation of it. I mean, if you're not interested in it, however much you sit with it, I mean, you're not going to be an expert on it.
I mean, I really like what you shared, Radhika. It's passion drives drives an individual to go deeper into any subject, and as you go deeper, you build that expertise, right? So it comes with passion. So that's really the foundation. And it's not necessarily as function of age. We're talking about young people who can be passionate about something, start delving into it from a very young age, and develop their capability, their viewpoint, and an ability, therefore, to bring about new solutions or new ways of looking at things. So a great point that you made there about passion being the driver. Yeah. Let me, come back to Piyush. You've shared that through your experience, you worked a lot with different startups, and you've also had in the beginning of your career, and even now you're with a large corporate.
Aparna, just I think Sangeeta is
So the
asking to
question is really, when you look at, you've been part of both, right? So you've been part of entrepreneurial ventures as startups. You have, been part of organizations where you're looking at making change and driving change as an entrepreneur.
yeah.
So when you look at, the mindsets and capabilities, what would you say are the differences, and what should people keep in mind, right? If you're, moving from one to the other, how do you sort of, what sort of right mindset should you have if you're moving from a startup to a corporate, or from a corporate to a startup?
Very good question, actually.
Yeah. Can I just, I think Sangeeta wants to speak. Sangeeta, is the question for the previous panelists, or is it for the current panelist? You can unmute yourself. I'll just allow you to speak. Yes.
Yeah. Now,
Yes.
can I be heard now?
Yes, you can.
Yes,
all
you're
right.
audible, Sangeeta.
Yes. So it was actually something to what you had asked Radhika. So she was talking about passion. So I just wanted to give an example from my company. So I have a startup. We make composite panels for construction and internal walls, acoustics, and things like that. And it's like a 95% plus sustainable product. So what I was going to say is that in our factory, we have clients coming to us and asking us whether we can do something. And within our factory itself, I get my production people also engaged, get involved in in the meetings. And as soon as a client goes, they're immediately coming to me and saying that, okay, we can do this, we can do this, and they're coming up with solutions. So even we use paper honeycomb for our panels, so that's the core of our panels. So now one of the guys came up and said, why don't we manufacture it? We are manufacturing, but why don't we better our manufacturing machine? So so they get involved a lot. And what I do is, whatever money that we are making out of it, I distribute it amongst them. So that is something that they do, and they get very motivated by that. And that is how something that I feel is giving rise to entrepreneurs in within my organization. So it's a really fun process when everybody gets involved and everybody wants to kind of come up with their ideas and make it a reality. So that is a little bit from me. And yes, like Radhika said, passion is definitely important, and I think that's what is there within the team. So that's my two bit. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Sangeeta. I mean, that was inspiring to hear as well, your story. And yeah, let's stay engaged on this topic.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we had a question for Piyush. Piyush, we were talking about just before, Sangeeta came on, about, your experience as an entrepreneur as well as an entrepreneur. So please go ahead.
Okay. So this question, I think, is very important in today's era where the boundaries between large enterprises and startups are getting wiped out. Uh, the reason is very simple, because there is a disruption all over it is happening. So 10 years back, it was difficult for a startup, to become a real competitor to a big enterprise, a big business house. But right now, that's not the story, because the capital availability is easy. There is a good ecosystem out there, where you have large incubators, they are supporting you, and there is a availability of talent as well. So this startup mentality is actually a part of entire business ecosystem. So it's just not limited to startups, it is all over. So if you just look at all even big names, right, from IBM, whether it is design thing.
Hello?
Yeah, Piyush?
Piyush? Did we lose Piyush? Piyush, you're not audible.
Okay.
Perhaps a issue with his
Yeah.
network. We'll come back to Piyush.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else from the audience? Was there anyone else with a question? Because I do have a question for, Piyush, are you back?
No, I think we can move on. He'll probably
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. So let's we'll move to a question for Ravindra and come back to Piyush once he's back. He's got his audio fixed. So Ravindra, actually, you come from Samsung R&D, well recognized as an organization, with several patents to its name. Known for innovations in so many different, product lines, right? And you've had your, you've been awarded, 4 patents, as we saw you heard in your introduction. So the question for you is really, when you look at the concept of innovation and entrepreneurship, right? What differentiates an innovator from an entrepreneur? And, how do they each contribute to an organization?
Yeah, I
Ravindra?
think,
Yes.
yes. So, Piyush, I think we lost you. So we're going with a question from me. So we can come back, I think, to you later.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, you are audible, Piyush. Yeah. Should we just circle back to you? We were talking, Ravindra was just getting started.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. So, Thanks, Piyush. Your question is what differentiates an innovator from an intrapreneur, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, for me, the difference is a little clear because I've seen that journey multiple times. An innovator is somebody who is solving a problem, right? A problem that has not been solved inside an organization or in the global industry or in the academics. That's an innovator. There's a problem that has not been solved, and you solve it within. That the problem could be of technology, it could be of efficiently delivering a product, etc. For an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, based on where the person is placed inside the organization or outside, is about getting a problem which is sol- wh- which is which can be solved at scale and profitably, right? So those are the two things that an entrepreneur also tries to bring in, that there is a problem that has to be solved for the masses, and can it be solved efficiently, that is profitably, and of course, and will it reach many people, and then also putting a team together of innovators, sponsors, uh, delivery teams, and all of this. He becomes a catalyst to bring all of these other players also join the journey and deliver that value to the customer. So that's the difference between an innovator and an entrepreneur inside the organization and an entrepreneur outside the organization, for me.
Right, right. So, from what you're saying, then, while problem solving is the focus of of an innovator, the entrepreneur takes that solution, or comes up with a solution, but then with a mindset of how to make it efficiently reach the market. Right. So there's a market orientation. There is an orientation towards taking this idea beyond just being an idea and a solution to making it viable. And then, of course, seeing that course through to completion, which means putting a team together, getting the resources. So it's a the way you're describing it. It's a little more of a holistic role, going beyond the solutioning to taking that solution out and seeing, making it come and see the light of day.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Ravindra. Yeah, Piyush, we lost you there, and you were just sharing with us, your perspective about the barriers between organizations and startups really breaking down, and what that means for individuals, whether they are part of the corporate or part of the startup ecosystem. What does it mean for them? Yes, please do continue.
Correct. So Aparna, as I was talking about that, the boundaries are getting blurred day in, day out, because the kind of disruption is happening overall, whether it is technology disruption, whether it is business innovations, or uh, talent acquisition. Everywhere there is a lot of competition,
Mm-hmm.
and the big corporate houses have also realized that if we want to win this race, then we'll have to adapt the startup mindset. So startup mindset is all about innovation and adaptability, and that's what we can see, whether it is IBM or Starbucks or even G. They are promoting design thinking, innovation labs. They are building their own incubation center within the companies, and the objective is very simple: to be agile and to make them relevant in the current era. Now, in order to win within this ecosystem, you have to have an mindset where you are adding value in your, in your job. Now, when I say job, it's just not your JD, but wherever you are working, your entire ecosystem. It could be your team, it could be your department, it could be your region, and it could be your company. Now, in order to sustain this, you have to have two, I would say the mindset is more important, because if I talk about skills, then LinkedIn only says that 60 5% of skills are getting obsolete every 5 years. So it's all about adding more value, understanding the ecosystem, the gaps, and continuous learning. That's more important, because as the skills are evolving, the technology is upgrading, your pace has to align with that. That's why every day learning and learning, that's the mindset that you have, and adapting with the new situation. The processes and the policies which were working yesterday may not work tomorrow. So you have to adapt with the new processes, policies, and the environment or the cultures which are being built, understanding the, I would say, the new projections and the business objectives overall.
Right. Yes, what you say definitely is so resonant, because we do hear about organizations that have, seen success for decades, now struggling because, of their inability to sort of adapt. And that whole piece about agility. I mean, we all hear these words thrown around quite loosely, but getting to the fundamentally, how critical it is right now for organizations to be nimble and, agile, and therefore learn. That is learning for large organizations from, from the startup ecosystem and vice versa, and therefore for individuals as well, right? It translates into, as you mentioned, a lifelong ability to keep learning, and keeping your eyes and ears open, and being aware of what trends are and being open to adapt. So there's great points from you. Um, at this point, I'd like to ask the listeners out there. Do you all have any perspective, any questions for any of our speakers? Yeah. Okay. Let's, we've been talking right now, and we've heard from all our panelists, about their journeys, about what they think about, various elements, right? And there have been so many threads that they've spoken about, being an entrepreneur today in an organization. And, as we in Unfold have been dabbling with this topic for the past 6 years, we, it was really an area of passion for us, and that's how we started off on this topic. But over the last couple of years, we are sensing a greater urgency and responsiveness among organizations to the subject itself. It was from a small group of leaders talking about this. We sense now that a lot more people out there are understanding, that entrepreneurship is not a misspelled word. It is very much a need today. And we really wanted to ask our panelists, why is it such an imperative today? What makes the age that we live in now, really conducive, or for entrepreneurship, as a need, really, as something that every organization is seeking to promote. So I'm leaving it open to the panelists, for any one of you to take the lead and start off the conversation.
Okay, I can speak. This is
Yes,
Ravindra.
yes.
So let me the question
Hello, Ravindra. Oh,
hello, can you hear me?
yes. Please go
I
ahead.
don't know why we're getting logged off from this.
Yeah, yes, I just noticed that. But please, you're audible now. Do go ahead.
Yeah, so why is it important? Like, okay, let before we answer that question, I mean, let's take this situation, where the government. Let's take a example of the roads that we have, right? There are governments building highways, right? So assume every one of us were waiting for a road. We have to all hit the highways in order to go to any place within a city. Okay. uh, and versus the all the shortcuts and small lanes that are developed through regular uses by people, by developments, communities that are developing. You can imagine telecom also in similar way, when in the past all the big telecom companies were handling all your voice traffic, etc., and all of us had to wait for some bandwidth on that highway to reach our destinations, versus today where there is internet, where there are routers placed all over the places, and traffic is getting diverted not onto the main highways but through some of these smaller lanes, correct? So this is an, if to give a simple example, this is what an entrepreneur does. You don't wait for the executive leadership to build a highway to solve a problem, but you use your small local insights, to develop a shortcut or develop a way to achieve something efficiently. So the exponential benefit of this is very clear. You can see how much more internet has benefited over just a telecom connectivity that we had in the past, right? So internet itself has spawned so many other businesses, so many other what you call ventures and innovations. So this is what an entrepreneur can really do. He can they can really look at the local problems, and they can see what local efficiencies can be brought into the system, and get going on it, because the executive or the top leadership may be really busy building highways for some of the common problems, but they might not be having good visibility in the local areas, and that will always be successful, in any situation. So given, I mean, looking at like how if you look at data, and you look at facts, things like, we understood about atoms, etc., in 1905 when Einstein published his Brownian motion paper, right? It's 120 years back. Emotionally we are still, taking what you call inspiration from commanders like Alexander the Great or many other historical figures. So facts are moving extremely fast. I mean, things are data, what do you call, new discoveries, new innovation, new knowledge is growing exponentially, and it's much more visible locally to the people on the field who are working on a particular technology or a problem area, and they are the best place to, locally solve that, find a way through it, and maybe advise in the long term, if it becomes a scaled project, the executives. So in today's world where knowledge is exponentially growing, it is very much important that the entrepreneur and innovation happens in a distributed fashion across various departments, across various people in the organization.
Ah, interesting. So yes, so you are interesting points that you've raised over there. That you shouldn't really be waiting. Individuals shouldn't really be waiting for top leadership to come and sort of create the path. But seeing how technology, and is changing rapidly, knowledge is growing exponentially. Those who are closer to the market, closer to the ground, should be ever watchful for opportunities, and seize them and really make their own path. So that's a really a great advice for those listening and for all of us. Yeah. Radhika, would you like to add to that in terms of what is in the environment, and what the changes that are happening today around us? that's making entrepreneurship an imperative and not so much a choice anymore.
Right. No, I completely agree with whatever Ravindra has said, because it is important to keep your ear to the ground. It and when you say opportunities knock, right? I mean, they don't knock. I mean, opportunities have to be seen, and they have to. So you can't wait for something to knock on your door. You have to go seek them out. I think that's important. And you have your eyes and ears are constantly open, and you really need to go seek them out. And why is it important? I mean, I feel like one is, of course, in today's world, with today's competition and today's and the options that we have, the technology, I think it's really really relevant. I mean, and that people have to start looking at things differently, keep an eye to the ear to the ground, and kind of really grab some of these opportunities that are right ahead, right in front of them, right? So that's of course one part of it, in how the ecosystem is sort of in a sense, it's ripe in a sense for a person to become an entrepreneur. But on the other hand, also, for an individual themselves, I mean, it's I think it's the attitude of entrepreneurship is really important for your own sort of self development. I feel, to lead a meaningful life, right? If, I just read somewhere the human mind has about 6,000 thoughts a day, which translates into one thought every 9 seconds. Now, if this thought is spent in something that's exciting, that's something that is new, I mean, that just makes your life that much more exciting, and that much more something to look forward to, right? I mean, if you're constantly looking at things in a different way, nothing gets monotonous anymore, right? And so I think it's very, the attitude of entrepreneurship is very key. I mean, I just want to kind of and I'm saying, I mean, not just in your job, right? In your life, for example. And for this, I would like to take an example of a person I know. He retired from the army as a brigadier. He lived to the ripe age of 95. And I know till the last minute he was learning. He learned carpentry, he learned painting, he was constantly keeping his mind busy. And I think that's important to really, it gives you something to look forward to. And I think that attitude of entrepreneurship, that attitude of how can I change the status quo? How can I make something better? How can I reach the solution in a more efficient way? How can we add efficiency into everything that we do? I mean, that thought is these are the kind of thoughts that sort of keep you excited, keep you motivated, and keep you going, right? And I feel that that's really key in trying to and I think organizations have a great role to play as well, to encourage the entrepreneurship, and create that ecosystem within an organization.
Yeah, wise words, Radhika. I mean, you're talking about how this whole spirit of being an entrepreneur. Yes, there are external pushes. There's a lot of competition. There's technology. We're all aware, but really looking at how does it translate even into your personal life, and therefore lead to a more meaningful existence, right, and more sense of fulfillment in anything that you're doing. And that permeates, personal and professional, boundaries. So great, thank you for that. Piyush, any last thoughts on this particular topic before we move ahead?
Yeah. So, uh, if you look at the current era, as we discussed already, where a lot of disruption is happening, there's a technology upgrades. So, if you understand the main objective, why this is all happening, it's all because everybody wants to beat customer expectations. We are in the era where if you don't get delivery in next 30 minutes, the entire experience is spoiled. So there is, as such, the customer is not differentiating whether it's a large corporate house or a startup. They just want their stuff to be done in a certain way. Now, in order to, win the customer, the couple of, founders or few board members cannot drive this. You need people who can have expertise in their own subjects. They have more exposure. They have seen this happening already, or they have that passion to drive it further. So you need people for faster decision making, faster experimentation, because then only you will be succeed and beat customer expectation. That's why this entire entrepreneurship mindset is very, very imperative in today's world. Every company needs such people, which can actually make them more agile and take them to the next level in terms of beating this entire customer expectation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you've highlighted the really critical, reality that today it's really the, who can win in this war for, the customers' mind space, wallet share, right? Being able to be faster, better, and that cannot be only the responsibility and accountability cannot just rest with a few, either top leadership or boards or the few founders in startups. Really, everyone needs to pull their weight and get get the company, whichever organization they're part of, right, on that path towards winning this the customer's mind share. Yeah, thank you, all of you. That was great interaction. I do have a few more. I do have another question, but I thought I'll just pause
Yes.
to see if anyone else has.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we are almost at 4. I mean, not almost, we are at 4. So since this was a 60-minute interaction, I would, if there are any others who would like to, unmute, we can unmute you. You can interact with the panelists. This is a good opportunity. Ask a question. Let us know. We would like to provide that opportunity. Okay. Well, so we have a choice right now because we've hit almost 4:1 since this was a 60-minute interaction. If we close it here, Aparna, do you want to just round it up?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
and
Yeah.
talk about it.
I mean, this is a topic where we can talk, I think, endlessly. We all have our own experiences, a lot of rich perspectives, and as we talk, I'm sure we'll have more and more deeper that we can delve into it. And Unfold will continue this dialogue. We will have more such sessions. Keep examining various aspects and various facets of entrepreneurship, right? But to close today's discussion, I first of all want to thank all our panelists for their time and for coming here and sharing, such interesting perspectives, learnings from their own deep journeys, which just helps us see things in a little different light, right? They all talk in one voice that the entrepreneurship is really a concept that whose time has come now. So wherever you are in your career, whether you're starting off, you're a student looking to look at where your career is heading, whether you're a mid-level manager, you're an experienced leader, learning is something that everyone should be looking at as a lifelong journey, and constantly looking at how to build your capabilities, skills, and it's going obsolete, what's coming up, staying ahead of that curve. It's not necessarily, it's just not a good to do anymore. It's like a must do in this age of, where we're having disruptions on so many fronts, right? So thank you once again to all of you. Thanks for your time here. Before we close today's session formally, I just wanted to call out once again that we mentioned at the beginning of this discussion that Unfold hosts Vanguard Awards, which is really a platform to recognize entrepreneurship in all its forms. We have 5 different award categories, and it's open. The participation is open to organizations of all sizes and maturity across the corporate, education, and social sectors. We are also open to applications from startups. So those of you out there, in the audience, please do, participate. Consider participating in our awards. Follow the Unfold page that you're on for more details. you can log into entrepreneurshipknowledgehub.live for further details on the awards and the link to the nomination forms. Or write to us. We are available at info@unfoldconsulting.com. Our nominations for this round close on 31st of May, so do hurry up. We hope to see you participating, and we hope to see you joining us in our future conversations. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. info@unfold-consulting.com. Yeah, there's a hyphen between Unfold and consulting. So we do look forward to any questions, clarifications. We'll keep the conversation open. Thank you all. Thank you to the panelists for joining us on this LinkedIn Live. I think we've got a lot of good information. We will convert this into a blog. And we'll convert it into a lot of perspectives and literature so that it has a wider audience. Any kind of a listening or a video mode is always fatiguing in a virtual environment. But we've got great content where we will be able to amplify this further. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.